But recently I saw in someone's basement a box that was filled with stuff that people gave Brandon. And I looked at it, I did, and I did see some black licorice, and so I guess you don't like that. No? Well, it's sitting there, you should eat it. So I was wondering, though, for Harriet and Brandon, what's the strangest thing, or maybe the coolest thing you've gotten, like, from a Wheel of Time tour when someone's just giving you something?
Tell us who people are.
I'm Sarah, sorry.
Well, I got a lovely handmade wall hanging that was sort of like a quilt with various pieces having to do with things in the series that they liked the best. And I also got a very charming little cuddly grove made out of a green gingham. It's really sweet. With no teeth.
I've gotten a lot of cool things. It's hard to pick out just one. Like I've gotten nifty buttons and bracelets, and I got a pen that was handmade and carved. What? Lots of cards. Yes. I've gotten lots of mac and cheese. People gave that to me. I've gotten various types of salt, since people know I like salt. One of the cool ones was somebody made their license plate to Varen, and they got two of them, and they put one on the back, and they gave me the other. Was that you? Were you raising your hand? No. That's you? Hey! So I have an Andy Varen license plate. It's not from Utah, though, so I can't put it in my car. Where's it from? It's like... It is a Utah plate? Oh, okay, so I could stick it on. I can't stick it on my car. It's licensed to you. Back to park legally, that's right. I get parked and then ticketed and it goes to you, right? That's how it works.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Brian Lickey from Orem, Utah. Two questions, and I hope I'm not encroaching on Waygate with this one, but in regards to the encyclopedia. Are we going to have a full Catharin cycle, prophecies, the shadow, and all that? And second, are you going to have exhaustive troop movement maps? I know that back in March, Brandon was mentioning consulting with a strategist over writing a particular chapter in this book, which would lead one to believe that it's fairly confusing.
The complete Carrington cycle will not be in there because Jim didn't write the complete. Same for the prophecies. Not sure about.
I do think you'll find that as published, the strategic movements are really very clear.
Thank you.
Regardless of the
Hello, my name is Bridget Reed. I'm from Kearns, Utah. And I just wanted to say that I started reading the series when I was 13. I was in 8th grade. And so I've been reading it over about 14 years. And it's the best series I've ever read. And I'm so thankful to you, Harriet, for being willing to give it over to Brandon so that he can finish it for us. And I actually have a question for Maria. And this is a question that I asked Brandon in November, and he didn't know the answer to. So he told me to email him, and he did email me. But I wanted to know if the women in Randland shaved.
Not really. This is, I went digging around in notes, and basically, the razors for men shaving are just not really good for shaving legs. So it would be dangerous. And also, I mean, we see how they brush their teeth in the Wheel of Time, and we see men shaving, and a lot of things. And I think if they did, at some point, Jim would have had a woman with her leg outstretched. So I'm reasonably certain they
Thank you very much.
Well, I think in the thousands of years since the breaking, there's been a certain amount of blessed evolution. Women no longer have hair on their legs.
I'm Zach Burrell, and I'm from here in Orem, and I kind of feel like a child with all these people that have read it for so long. I'm pretty new to the series, just a couple of years, but I love it just as much. And I'm really grateful you guys brought your assistants with you as well, because I know with the creative writing process and writing, it takes a lot more than just one person. And so I was wondering, probably more direct to Brandon, how did you keep everything together? How did you encompass everything? Just a little idea. I just wanted to know a little bit of how you kept everything.
It's interesting. I am somewhat absent-minded in a lot of things in my life, but I don't forget stories. Stories stay in my head. Perhaps that's why I forget everything else. And it's, I can remember stories that I was planning to tell 20 years ago, and I've still got the details in my head, and I'm ready to write it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. That said, a lot of the minutia, isn't part of the soul of the story to me. It's very important, but it isn't part of the soul of the story, and that sort of thing I do need to keep track of. And so recently we've been using a wiki, and the wiki has worked really well. That's for my own books. For the Wheel of Time, I just let other people make the wikis, and I started going to use theirs. So there's Bob Klutz and Encyclopedia WOT, and if there's anyone here from Tarvalon that worked on their wiki, the Tarvalon wiki is fantastic, and I really liked the Tarvalon wiki. So those were two things that I used for the simple questions, the questions they couldn't answer. Maria was like our version of the Brown Ajab that has been gathering all sorts of things and getting them ready for us whenever we have requests about them and whatnot. So it's been very useful.
She doesn't have a live owl on her desk. But she does have a large plastic iguana that has a cigarette in its mouth.
Beautiful brown shawls, proving I am a brown shawl.
Paul Williams, Maryland /UA Idaho /Nampa Idaho student teaching going back there in this week for your job. Anyways, I got two questions. First one, this is definitely for Harriet. Could you share with us any details about the Infinity of Heaven series that Jordan was planning? And the second question is a question I say vicariously from a friend. Has the creator been very intimately and directly connected to the story, or is he kind of like the absent God theory, the set things in motion has left?
The Infinity of Heaven series was, I'm having been an editor for so many years, I'm really bad at coming up with these little sound bites, but that's a way of saying I'm really good at it, that it was a fantasy shogun, that people are shipwrecked on the shore of a country they really have never heard of before, that's a lot like Japan, or Shanchan if you like, but not Shanchan. The big difference is they come from something more like Belgium, as I always thought. What did you think? Anyway, as a broadly European country, and the difference, the two cultures have diametrically opposed views of magic, if you like, how it's used. In one, it's war revolves around magic. It's the major weapon, like the nuclear bomb. And in the other, what? It's the other way around, that the government uses magic, but it is never even considered as a weapon. Am I remembering right?
I'm just drawing a blank.
Yeah, there's very little about it. There was enough for Tom Doherty to give him a big fat contract. But that had to be rolled over.